I want to start using an upper dust hood at the table saw because all of that dust is getting more and more annoying. But the problem with this dust hood, which came with my saw, is that it is way too bulky and too high for most cuts. So what I'm going to do now is build a new dust hood that's going to be way more compact than this one. I'll start with a piece of acrylic. For this dust hood is perfect because you want to keep the blade raised as high as possible to prevent melting and rising of the workpiece. Still doesn't do a great job collecting the shavings because they are actually thrown out this way. I guess I should have lowered it a little more and pulled it more towards the front. Those are the sides of the dust hood. Now marking locations for screws. I want to keep that yellow connector so that I can switch between dust hoods easily. Mounting it to the overarm of the saw requires a special type of C-channel, which I didn't feel like buying, so I used an offcut of tubing. The original dust hood doesn't have this particular shape for nothing, and I'm now going to explain why. To simulate the blade ejecting shavings in the rear, which even my perfectly tuned table saw occasionally does when there are tensions in the material, I'm going to make a series of climb cuts. You can clearly tell how the airflow created by the blade is shooting most of the shavings out forward. Now I added this additional piece to direct the airflow to the front of the dust hood. And that immediately made a huge difference. The airflow would now ideally look something like this and almost completely separate from the blade. Ideally. The only problem left is that some heavier particles don't get caught and are instead deflected downwards. And this is why I added another little piece. I probably should have made this shape more like this in the first place, but what I did is at least a good approximation of that. And why didn't I add that bevel like on the original dust hood? Well, because that allows me to immediately notice when the guard is too low. That was a couple of weeks ago, and I still have the dust hood on the saw. It is of course annoying, but not as annoying as the dust.